So we started sweeping across this field, and you know, the closer we got, I'm thinking, these guys are going to come out of there with their hands up, and as we're walking up, we might have been like maybe 20 yards or so in between us and them, and they just started shooting at us with the AKs, and like I said before, they were hiding in some pretty thick vegetation, and we couldn't see where they were at inside of there. Normally you would look for like a muzzle flash, but we couldn't even see that. So my initial plan was just to, I had 600 rounds and I had a machine gun, so my initial plan was just to light that entire area up with as many rounds as I could, and that would force them to keep their heads down and not shoot at us, which would give us an opportunity to move around and flank them, or if I got lucky, one of my rounds would end up hitting them. But it didn't work out the way I planned. I shot off maybe 10 rounds, and my weapon started to jam up. And I popped the feed tray to my weapon, and I started to reset my rounds. And as I'm doing all of this, these guys are just letting off of these AKs. I could just hear the bullets just whizzing past my head. So as I'm working on my weapon, I'm just kind of trying to brace myself to be shot. I thought for sure I was gonna get shot, but none of them rounds hit me. I got my weapon back up, and then I went to go fire again, and this time I shot off like maybe 7 or 8 rounds, and the weapon jammed up again. So I'm not a real religious person, but I do believe in fate, and I thought that this was my fate, that I die like this.
That was my next question, Del. I mean, did your own mortality? You're in the middle of a gunfire.
Yeah,
you're newly deployed. Your weapon jams. Did your own mortality kind of cross your mind at that point?
Yeah, I'm like, this is this must be the way I'm supposed to die.
Right.
I had never had that happen to me before, not even in training. And this is like a real life situation where I actually have to really shoot people, and my weapon isn't working.
Nothing in training can prepare you for this, correct?
No, nothing.
Del, how were you near Baghdad when this occurred? How far were you from Baghdad?
About an hour and a half. We were in Mushada, Iraq, when this took place, and it's like about an hour and a half northeast of Baghdad.
I see. Okay. Now you received a badge, a special badge.
Yeah.
A combat medal badge. Can you show us that? This is your uniform here.
We all got combat infantry badges for the shootout we got into. This is it right here.
Let's focus on that. I see. Oh yeah. Yeah. Is this your helmet down here?
Yeah.
You actually wore this in combat, correct?
Yeah, this is the helmet that I had the entire time I was in Iraq.
What's that? What's the contraption on the?
This is it holds our night vision goggles, and you just
night vision goggles.
You flip it down, and on the actual night vision, you can either switch it to your right eye or to your left eye, and it's a real pain to put it on here. It actually disconnects from this mount right here, but it's a pain to get it off. So I never took it off. Once I got it on, I never took it off. And on the back is an IR light. It's a light that it flashes, but you can only see with your night vision. And
I see.
we turn this on when we're out at night. That way we could tell where each other's location. If I can't physically see your body, all I have to do is look for the flash, and it will tell me where you are.
So Del, 10 months in Iraq. How are the people? Did they see you as helpers, invaders? What? I mean, I know there's...
Yeah, it's like a mixture. Some people love us, some people hate us. But for the most part, the people that I interacted with, they were pretty glad that we were there. We had a med station on our little base that we lived at. We had our med station, so a lot of the local people, say a kid would get hurt or break his leg or get sick, they would actually bring their kids to our little base, and our medics would actually work on our kids. And
yeah, I think we have a photograph of you with some children here. Yeah, a couple of Iraqi boys. Now, was that taken outside a hospital station or a med station?
No, that was a raid. We had actually done a raid, and as we were leaving, there was 2 boys who came up to me and they asked me for my ink pen. I had 2 ink pens in my sleeve, and that's like a really big thing. The kids really love ink pens.
They love ink pens, huh?
Yeah, it's like if you give them an ink pen, it's like they would act as if they just got a PlayStation or Xbox. So he just asked me for my pen, and one of the guys I was with, he just snapped that picture. So
Things, thank goodness, are a lot better, I think, in Iraq today. Although they're struggling, you have the Sunnis, the Shias, and the Kurds.
I think it's worse now.
Do you think it's worse?
Yeah, ISIS is like.
ISIS. Well, ISIS is the new player in town.
Yeah, and as soon as we left, and ISIS is pretty much all the guys we were fighting back then. They waited until we left back in 2011, and then they joined up with ISIS, and they're mostly just people that we were already fighting and during the initial invasion and during the surge. And
do you think we should have pulled out as quickly as we did?
no, but it's like that region of the world, they've been fighting for thousands of years, back to like the biblical times. All they knew was war. And it's like, we would pretty much, in order for it to stabilize, we would pretty much have to occupy that area, like, set up bases and actually.
Right. Nation build.
Yeah, we would actually never.
It's tough.
We would have to actually live there forever, pretty much, like, because they would just wait us out, and once we leave, they'll just start fighting again.
So from 2003 to 2011, I know many Americans lost patience with the war, and it became sort of unpopular until the surge, which sort of stabilized things for a while. I guess what I meant to ask you was, free elections are taking place, and they do have a representative form of government to some degree. Am I right there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not. It's pretty new. It's like pretty much in its infancy.
Yes.
And like they're not used to like having that type of government. They're used to how Saddam used to run it, which he ran it like a dictatorship, and now they're pretty much in their infancy as far as like setting up a democracy goes. So I guess they're just trying to like work out the bugs.
Time will tell.
Yeah.
Time will tell. Your experience in combat, your experience in service, your experience in Iraq, has it changed you? Has it made you a better person, would you say, after serving? I mean, are you proud of your service, and how did it change you, if it changed you at all?
Yeah, I'm definitely proud of what I did. I mean, like I said, before I joined, like I was sleeping on somebody's couch working at Home Depot, making $8 an hour. Like, for me, it got my life back on track, and it opened up a lot of opportunities for me financially, and as far as jobs go, it helped me get the job here. And before I worked here, I was a correctional officer, and helped me get that job, and it looks good on your resume, and it just made me an all-around better person.
And I think you mentioned earlier to us that you were thinking of a career in criminal justice. Is that true?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I originally was going to college for criminal justice, and like I said, my mom and my dad, they ended up separating during my junior year, and they couldn't afford for me to pay. They couldn't afford to pay for me to go to school anymore. So
how do you react to people saying, and most of us, of course, you do what like 98% of the American public is either incapable of doing or unwilling to do. People look at you in a heroic fashion today. How do you react to that?
I mean, I want to stay humble. I don't like I don't run around acting as if I'm like Superman or some superhero. Like, I try to, pretty much humble myself. It is flattering though, but
Well, Del, whether I talk to a World War II vet or a Korean War vet or a Vietnam vet, there's a great humility amongst all of you, and it seems like it's a common thread that flows. Like almost like a timeline from then to now. I noticed that sense of humility that you fellas carry, and it's an amazing thing.
Yeah, I mean, they pretty much instill that in you. You don't want to be somebody that's like arrogant and really cocky. You want to be confident, but you don't want to like overdo it, and you want to be humble. People will respect you more when you're like that.
Would you recommend military service to a young man or woman today?
Yeah, well, I mean, we were talking about the draft earlier. Like, I don't think something like that should ever come back, because you're gonna have people that don't want to be there, and they're gonna become a hindrance to people who actually do want to be there. Like, if you draft people, they're not going to take the training seriously, and when they're in actual combat situations, you're not going to be able to depend on them because they don't want to be there in the first place. So
it's amazing. We've had an all-volunteer military since, I guess, 1973, 74 was when the draft was eliminated, 73.
I think it should stay like that.
It's amazing.
Like I said, you're going to have people that don't want to be there, and they're going to be more of a hindrance than an asset, so it should stay like that.
In this building, we work with at-risk youth, and I know you have daily contact with them. You've spoken in my classes and to great effect. What would you tell our students who maybe don't see a very bright future for themselves? They maybe like you, you at one point in your life you weren't sure of the path you might choose. You weren't making that much money, minimum wage jobs, kind of sleeping on someone's couch, and then you discovered the military and opened doors for you. What would you say to our kids that maybe are struggling to find their path, their identity, to construct goals of their own?
You want to be patient. You want to things aren't always going to just happen for you like instantly. Like you kind of just have to like bide your time and wait and just be patient. Like you don't want to go out and do something dramatic that will end up bringing you to a place like here or over there at the county jail. Because once you start getting a criminal record, opportunities that might have been available to you before are going to just disappear, and and it's going to be a never-ending cycle. Once you get a record, you're going to have to like pretty much stay in that life that you were living that leaded to you being arrested. Like, if you get a felony, you're not going to be able to get a decent job. So it's like if you were selling drugs, once you get that felony, you're going to have to stay dealing drugs, and it's going to be like a never-ending cycle of you coming in and out of jail. So, you just want to just bide your time and wait for opportunities to open up for you. Life isn't always going to be easy, so it's like you have to be able to just suck it up when times get hard and just keep moving forward. And
how about the crowd, the people they hang with?
Yeah, if you're hanging out with people that were doing things, getting locked up and getting sent to places like here, when you get out of here, stop hanging out with those people. Like start hanging out with people that are doing positive things that'll help you. Like when you're hanging out with people that are just getting locked up, you're going to end up just like that. You're going to keep getting locked up because those are the people that you hang out with. So if you start hanging out with people that are doing positive things, that's going to rub off on you also. It's going to motivate you to want to do good things and, go down a path that's going to be, beneficial for you. It's going to, work out for you in the end if you just, and something so small as just stop hanging out with these people and hang out with these people. Right. It's pretty easy.
And have you encountered positive people in your own life that help you along the way, would you say?
Yeah. The way I was just raised, not to hang out with people that are just doing stupid things and getting locked up, So it was just, something that was instilled in me at a young age. Like my parents would always make sure I was like not hanging out with kids that are like, selling drugs and getting into fights in school and skipping school. So it was just one of the things I was raised to do.
Del, we thank you for your time today, and we may call upon you again on another occasion. But we thank you for your service.
No problem.
And we'll talk to you soon. Thank you, sir.